Hi friends, it's Julia. I'm here to share a layout that I created. I started with a sketch from Creative Scrappers from their blog. I just pulled one up and um, decided to use a bunch of scrap paper. That's even a 6x6 scrap that I have there that I showed that I taped together. I have an old SEI paper and then a couple of photos of my youngest granddaughter, Ellie. And so I'm going to put this layout together following that sketch, kind of, sort of. Sometimes my layouts look a little like the sketches, sometimes not so much. And so here you see I'm cutting down the strips of paper to go on the background paper, and I'll save you from that. I'll skip a lot of this and get to the point where they're all glued down. I put them on where I wanted them, and I didn't use every single one that I had cut out. Now I'm using some additional scrap paper that I had left over from this paper kit that I had put together, and I'm just using it to they were single-sided sheets and the back side was white, and so I'm just using them to put borders on the two photos that I used. And like I said, the photos are of my youngest daughter, Ellie, and these were just photos that her mom had taken on her phone and had printed out, and so they're just random little photos of her sitting in her high chair, eating whatever. Just those mom moments where you capture, really cute photos of your kid. We all do it, I'm sure. I have tons of those in regular photographs that I took of my kids when they were growing up. So I'm just trimming down here to make sure that I have them, have a nice little white border around them. And I'm going to decide my placement. And again, a lot of it is based on the sketch. I love using sketches for that very reason. It does the hard work for you. It figures out the placement of the photos or the embellishment clusters, that kind of thing. And so you can just run with it and change it however you like. So from here, I'm going to start putting down my embellishments. And I actually lost a section of video from this. And so I'm going to go from a few little embellishments to a lot of embellishments here in just a few minutes. But until then, I'm just taking some foam squares or some foam tape, and I'm putting it down behind these floral arrangements because I'm going to have them layered up around the edges of the photo in a couple of little clusters. And they're ones that came in a collection pack, and so they were similar. They matched, with the exception, no, that one too. I was thinking I had stamped it. I may have stamped that out and then fussy cut it, but it may have been part of the collection pack as well. And I'm just using my fine liner bottle that's broken to put some glue on there. I have a new fine liner, but I don't want to give this one up until I use all the glue out of it. So in the meantime, I've got both of them going. I've got both of them full of glue. The new one, of course, has the needle tip on it that's not broke. It got clogged up and then it got jammed in the lid and I couldn't get it out. So the needle tip is still in the lid. It's stuck there. I didn't try really hard to get it out. And I'm just layering up these floral pieces around the edges there. I love partially elevating certain elements, like you elevate the floral cluster and then the leaves you like tuck under the floral cluster, and then you have the outside of the leaf raised up on some foam tape, and it gives it a little extra shadow under there, and I just like the texture that it gives. And you can see on the background paper I use tons of scrap. I mean, there's K & Company, there's Close to My Heart, there's SEI, there's all kinds of pattern papers in the background, and I cut them down just a teeny weeny bit shorter than the original paper. Like instead of having it 12 inches across, I think I cut it at 11 and a half. And so I have those spread across there with just a tiny little gap, maybe a quarter of an inch or so in between them. I didn't measure, I just kind of eyeballed it and got them in the placement that I wanted. And so as I add the embellishments on, I'm kind of thinking, what am I going to do with my title, and I think about those things, as I'm sure most of you do as you go through your layouts when you're starting to create. Either you come into it with a layout idea already in your head, or you come up with one as you're scrapbooking. And more often than not, I come up with it while I'm scrapbooking. Ever so often, I will have an idea immediately when I see a photo. And I try and always write it on a sticky note and then put it with the photo when I have them printed off, so I remember, what my title idea was. And so as I go around this little cluster here, I'm just popping up some embellishment. And this is the part where I lost some footage in between, showing that I created another floral cluster at the top. I did some stamping on the layout, and added some ribbon, and this just shows, and some buttons. I really added a lot of stuff through here, and I'm sorry that I lost the footage. I don't know what happened to it. Just one of those, moments in time where the camera glitches or whatever, and you lose footage, or it stops recording or whatever. I'm pretty sure I had a video clip of all the embellishments, and somehow or another, when I was moving from my camera to my laptop to do the editing, I think I lost it. I know, sucks to be me in this respect, because I wanted you to see the whole process of putting it all together. I actually used a border strip up there going across and onto the top photo that had a little sentiment on it. It was a border strip from leftover paper, and then where it says snapshots, the little yellow piece along the bottom photo, that's actually a piece of ribbon that I had in my paper kit stash kit that I created. And this is just one of the layouts. I'll put kits together, and then I will create layouts with them. And I throw everything in there that I might need, as far as paper, embellishments, stamps, all of that kind of jazz. I try and put it all in the package, or all in the box, so that when I'm ready to scrapbook, I have everything. My selection is limited, because if I go with everything in my craft room, it's going to be too much. It's going to be overwhelming. I have a huge craft room, scrapbook room, and I have a huge stash. So for me, limiting my selection is what I have to do in order to feel like I'm accomplishing something, because if my choices are too wide, I feel like I can't do it. And I don't know if anybody else is like that. Sorry, you're getting a shot of my fuzzy head there. I can't even tell you what sort of hairdo I had that day that it was that fuzzy. I was probably at the end of my day, and had my hair taken down in whatever form, because I usually wear it pinned back. And so at the end of the day, when I come home from work after dinner, I typically, before I come into my craft room, I take it down and just let it be however. So you can see I'm still adding a few embellishments here and there. Going to do a little bit more stamping. And there where you see I stamped the sentiment sweet moments, it's not as bold as I'd like for it to be. Oh no, my hair is still up. It's still in the pin back with some pins. You can see I'm stamping some hearts there in the 3 different clusters. And that's something with those acrylic stamps, is if you've never stamped with them before. And I don't know if rubber stamps are that way, because I own mostly acrylic stamps. When you put them down on the paper rather than stamp and lift, if you will hold them on for a minute or two, it helps it sink into the paper and give you a more even look. Here I'm pulling out some little gold glitter paper. I have stars, hearts, and circles that I've cut out with tiny punches, and I'm just using the gold, the tiny gold heart, to go over the larger blue heart that I stamped out there. And you can see I'm just putting stuff down. I love when I can use buttons on a layout, and that's been one of my goals this year, is to try and add buttons into each of the kits that I create this year so that I can use up my stash of buttons. I haven't bought buttons in years, but I still have so very many. I don't think I'll ever use them all up. What is it that you have in your stash that you will forever have? Here's where I'm telling you where it says sweet moments that just wasn't bold enough for me. And so, I'm going through and I'm highlighting the leaves as well with just a white Jelly Roll pen. And then I'm going to go over where it says sweet moments and add just a few, just a little white highlight to those letters. And I don't know if I helped it or harmed it. It's kind of hard to tell at this point. When I look at the layout in person, it looks terrific. But when I'm looking at it on here, it's like, oh, I don't know. Did I help it or did I harm it? But by the time you start doing it, it's kind of late to change your mind on it. But I love the highlighting that I did on the leaves with the Jelly Roll pen. I think it just adds that extra little oomph to it. And so this layout is, for the most part, done. I'm just looking through. You can see that's the stash kit that I have. And I'm looking to see what else I'm going to add. And I'm going to add a bolder title. I'm going to put her name on the bottom of it. And I'm going to use those pink chipboard letters. Her full name is Electra, but I abbreviate it and call her Ellie. She's our Ellie Bean. So when she's at my house, we completely go by Ellie. And so I'll just use my quick dry to glue those down there. And that'll be the end of my layout. So I'd like to thank you for sticking around and watching my video. I would love it if you would flip me a thumbs up. I would also love it if you would subscribe. And if you create your own kits with your own stash, I would love for you to tag me so that I can have a look, or put the link down in the comment section so that I can go over and have a see. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. Stay tuned for some close-up photos at the end. And I just want you guys to know that I appreciate you so much for sticking around and watching my videos. Have a great day, everyone.